Okay, guys. Hi, welcome to Speak in Plain English. My name is Roberta and I am your host. I am upset because my intro would not begin. I don't know what's going on, but we're here and we are going to have an amazing episode today with a great guest. His name is Hattress Barbour III, who is a Harlem native with a love for language seeking to explore concepts of social injustice, deep introspection, and the art of storytelling in order to paint pictures in ways that haven't been done and impact lives within the community. Hattress has been featured on BET. He's performed in front of thousands of people in memorial of George Floyd. He also starred in a Remy Martin commercial, and he believes that art is the foundation of world change, whether good or bad. And he wants to use his platform as a catalyst for positive change, which we all know we all about positive change here. While creating a tribe that will be prepared to lead the future. And we're going to be able to show how you're going to be able to catch him, how you're going to be able to reach out to him. So we are going to bring to Speaking Plain English our guest for today, Hattress Barbour III, who is a poet and a spoken word artist and author. How are you, sir? Welcome.
Hey, Roberta. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. I'm so glad that we were able to catch up with you. You've got so much going on, so much going on. So let's dig in. So one of the reasons why I wanted to feature you as our author is this here. People, let me tell y'all.
And it looks worn like you've been reading it, so I love that.
Yes, I'm telling you, this thing here is something. And I actually had to stop myself because I'll read stuff straight through, but it's a book of poetry. So there are so many different things that are in here that have definitely been very, very thought-provoking. So thank you, one, for making art. You know what I mean? Because people say that they know what they're doing, what they're talking about, but just put out books and things and it's trash. But this is actually stuff that will I can tell, first of all, that you put your heart and soul into it. So thank you for that. And I already did your bio, so just tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Hattress. It's like mattress with an ace, but please don't sleep on me. I have some things to say. And I'm many things. I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm a father. And I think for me, the biggest thing, I am a pet owner. That's my dog right there. Give me 1 second. Let me mute him.
While we are waiting for him to come back, I am going to actually read. I was trying to find my favorite. There was one in here that is my favorite, but there's another in here that I really like. It's called Why We Talk, How We Talk. And it says, I may not be able to, read it the way that he would, but we'll put it like this. It says, it be that black boy slang, like jazz to happy feet, that tap, those rhythms, dreaming, wishing, praying, seeing everything is rhythm. It be that bop of sway and thought, that bounce, that funk that oceans could wash out. That funk that oceans couldn't wash out. The cost of a heavy tongue, but that be the anchor, the deep connection to dialect and deity, the closest thing to God they will ever hear. Oh, my bad, you back. I'm reading that While We Talk, How We Talk, and I'm doing, you got this. But I'm gonna finish it up. We didn't ask for this burden of sound, like broken promises, like limitations in the eyes of the Lord. You can't compare the black boy slang. The clicking tongues and sucked teeth, the stretched vowels and stifled consonants, vibrating off golden grills, those golden years seeping out of mouths. I told you this body is saxophone, clarinet, puffed cheeks of hornblowers, exasperated wind and ruminating tubes, all that jazz.
Yes, that's literally one of my favorites too.
Word.
Yeah, I think.
I like that one. Continue though. Continue.
Yeah, I'm just a regular guy. um, and you know, I love art. I love performing. I love writing. And you know, I love my community, and I try to do what I realize is like all of the jobs that I've had in my life were jobs of service. So,
Mm,
so like that is my purpose, to live a life of servitude to my community.
awesome. So let me ask you, what is it that actually got you started with poetry? No, not even just poetry, because I found that there is a difference between poetry and spoken word.
Okay.
So give us like the difference first. Let's start there.
So everyone has their definitions, right? I think the difference in poetry and spoken word is the packaging and kind of like the vehicle of voice. I think that's the only difference because I know a lot of page poets who, if they practice their performance, they would be spoken word artists, right? Like, or for
Mm,
me, when I look at it as writing is super therapeutic for me, and it's a very inward process. And when I attack a spoken word poem, I'm always thinking about the audience and like what's the message that I want to convey. So for me, that's the difference. The difference is, uh, one of my mentors told me a while ago that, you know, writing is for you. The
mm.
moment that you get it on a stage to perform, it's no longer yours. So you have to, like, you know, honor that, and that's a responsibility. That's a duty, and you have to look at it as that every time you perform.
So pretty much the difference would be, in a nutshell, when you're writing, like poetry is mainly for you. It's kind
Mhm.
of just, putting yourself out there, and spoken word is for the people.
It's for the people, and they are the judge and jury, right? So like I know a lot of spoken word artists who get mad, like, oh, they're not listening to me, and it's like, no, they're listening to you. They might not like it, and that's okay,
Mm,
right? Like, but as far as being a performer, you have to learn how to perform. Because it's no longer for you. This is not you in your bathroom and you think it's cool. Like, no, you have to do the research. You have to go outside. You have to go to these shows and see how they respond, how most
right.
people respond to certain things. So
It's
that's
considered entertainment.
yeah, it's entertainment. That's it, right? And that's my thought process going into it.
Nice. So what got you started with both? I'll ask you that.
I've been writing since I can't even remember, right? Like I've been writing. I think the first time I sat down to write a poem was after watching Def Poetry Jam.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the Russell Simmons Def Poetry Jam. So it's,
Oh, wow. You took it back.
yeah, and that was my first time writing. And I was just in amazement to see like people who look like me and people who talk like
Mm,
me, right, on a stage getting claps for telling their story. Like it was super authentic. It was super raw for me. So I was like, yo, can I do this? And I think the first poem I wrote a poem, I think I was like 13, 12, 13. And I wrote a poem to my unborn daughter.
mm.
And I was 13. You know what I'm saying? So like, but that's at a young age, my imagination, well, like I was just cultivating that imagination to the point where now I still feel like I'm that 13-year-old kid sometimes when I start writing because it's like
Wow.
create those worlds and it's like that's that's your sanctuary and you can make it whatever. So like in that I started writing then I started reading a lot of Maya Angelou. Fell in love with her work. Um,
Yes.
that's like my favorite person. I'm not even going to just classify her as like just a poet or a writer or whatever. Like just the wisdom and grace that she had and the way that her words touched so many different people. And I think
Mm,
she spoke to the humanity in people and not just the black person, the white. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I think her
right.
way that she cultivated her words spoke to your emotions, and emotions are universal. Um,
Absolutely.
that's that's my supreme being. Like if I can ever if I can ever touch the world in any way or write something that as impactful as Phenomenal Woman, as impactful as I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, as impactful
Mm-hmm.
as just the conversations that she's had with people and the gems that she shed. I would want to model her and walk in her footsteps.
That's dope. And that pretty much says in a nutshell, because I would think that Maya Angelou, she just decided, she didn't, most people I find that end up impacting the world don't do it on purpose. I'll put it like that. Like they end up just doing what they do. And then next thing you know, this person, it hears about it and then they share it to other people. And that's something that, like the art of not just poetry, but art in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would say that a lot of people just do it because they love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends up impacting the world in the way that it does. Yeah. And that's how legends are born. I'll put it like that. Like Maya Angelou, it was. Oh my God. Speaking in third person.
Her life story is crazy. Like she didn't talk for years. Like for years. And then when she just observed and read, and when she finally opened her mouth, she had something to say. And that's what I was like, wow. Whoa. You know what I mean? Like, so like things like, I don't know, like I just really admire her legacy and what she left there.
Awesome. So looking back and thinking back to that poem that you wrote that you wrote at 13 to what you do now, like how do you see, I guess, the maturing process?
Oh man, that poem was horrible. What I would say is sometimes I do wish I can go back to 13-year-old Hat. Because like I said, writing is an individual process where you go inward, and 13-year-old Hat wasn't so scarred from the world. And like there was an authenticity and like a jolliness and like a naivety that, you can't get back in adulthood, no matter how much you try. So in that aspect, I loved it. And of course, like I was 13, so like the writing sucked. Like it was horrible writing. It was just horrible cliche metaphors. Oh yeah, I shine bright like the sun. Like shut up, Pat. Like,
but that's what you felt when you were at that age, So it was authentic.
Yeah, the feelings were there, but it was horrible. If I could ever find that, I'll probably just burn it. Unfortunately, I can't find it. But I would say, yeah, I am. I love the growth. I love, like, even looking back at that book. That book took me 15 years to write, right? I've been writing those poems for 15 years.
And you're speaking of If Ever We Were.
Yeah. I've been writing those poems for 15 years. And now with new work, I'm looking at the difference in tone. I'm looking at the difference in themes, the difference of the topics that I'm covering. And I'm like, yo, I am maturing in some sense. But I don't think anything can top that book.
It's live. Listen, people who are watching, it's live. And y'all know life happens.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just let him out, and because like he wants to see me, so just give me one.
Okay. No problem. No problem. Again, like what I was one of the things that I really, really enjoyed. Didn't y'all love that intro? That's one of the things I went to. I think that was the first time that I saw Hattress perform was at an event. Do you still do the poetry?
It's on pause for right now because I have so much other stuff on my plate right now. But I'm thinking about bringing it back like towards the end of the summer.
Okay. So that intro that he gave, I forgot to ask, but I'm glad you did it. The intro. I'm sorry. My name is Hattress. Let's just like mattress, but don't sleep. I love that joint. That's something that people will not forget. Real talk.
Thank you. You gotta figure out the tricks, especially when you're performing, because it's like it's a lot of energy transfers that go on. So it's like you gotta make them sway in your favor sometimes. So yeah, that's one of the
Agreed. So I'm gonna ask that if you give us just for right now one piece of spoken word.
Okay. How you feeling? What topic? Like, how you feeling?
Waves. Let's do waves.
Oh, we doing waves out the gate.
We're doing waves out the gate.
Oh man.
We're doing waves out the gate.
I was told that I was a wild man. Cause see, my hair, it didn't wave like the rest of my peers. I mean, it rippled a little bit, But it wasn't like waves on swim, so they hate on him. Nah. More like it coiled in rebellion. Split at the ends, laid in a way as if to say, beware of crossing, and no one ever read the signs. See, when I was in 5th grade, they told me that the Brillo on my head is the reason why I'm so hard-headed. As if God himself did not drape me in wool, did not label me a king, did not emblem me a lamb. See, can't y'all see me here? Sacrificing myself knowing that this death will never be a trending topic. Even knowing that no one understands the reason why I'm supposed to be here. Because when I was in high school, a girl I like told me she doesn't date nappy-headed niggas. As if her father wasn't a nappy-headed nigga. Or her father's father wasn't called a nappy-headed nigga by the same people who stripped her of her own defiance. Now look at her. Docile and compliant. Hating my blackness the way she is supposed to. Because don't I remind her of everything she wished she wasn't? Don't I just explode pupils at every glance? See, ain't I so hard to look at and even tougher to touch? My reply was, okay. See, my mother raised me right. But there I go, resurrecting this spirit after being crucified by my peers. See, don't she know that I be water? Don't she know that I be life? Even when I be quicksand and sinking in a pool of insecurities, can't she see just how tough you have to be to keep going and going and going when everything, including your comb, breaks on you? See, I wonder if my hair is the part of my blackness I get to alter. Or why my people glorify waves as if our ancestors' lifeless cages didn't crash into bodies of water, as if the ocean is not comprised of our tears and her mother choosing to perm or straight comb her natural hair is a cure and not a symptom. You see, I wonder, is that what it takes to be black? You know, to be tamed? Is that what it takes to be accepted? To be accepted is to be recognized by life, but why is it that to be black is to be conditioned? To be told that you are much too wild because even the follicles of your hair break change. You see, freedom, it does not lay down neatly. Freedom does not come lamented to shame. Freedom is coarse to show them that they can't colonize this land without a fight. Now, when I was 28, I'm showing my age a little bit now, but when I was 28, a coworker suggested I should cut my hair because it wasn't exactly appropriate for the workspace. I told her I'm only attempting to be myself. She told me companies don't pay you to be yourself. Master don't have you here to be human. Who told you it was okay to believe you were somebody? Who told you that you could be black without consequence? Like, didn't you learn from Trayvon about how the hood loves you only after you die in it? How tombstones lie more than people do. How I still got to use his name just to get a little reaction from the audience in this poem. See, is that what you want? For me to die in all my blackness, all 3/5 of my entirety, as if it ever mattered anyway, just like black lives don't matter anyway, just like black deaths don't matter anyway. See, I told her I'm sorry, because obviously this hair is a sight that sore eyes have yet to heal from. And no, I'm not sorry for my aesthetics, because truth be told, I look good. I told her that I was sorry, that she was too blind to recognize gold when she sees it. So no, this poem is not a eulogy for my blackness. This poem is an inauguration to my wholeness. And I'll be damned if I ever part ways with myself for anybody.
Man. Okay.
Thank you.
Man. Let's please dig into that one. Why? Where? Who?
Okay. So I usually write poems when I feel triggered or when I'm feeling like I went through situations. So the original reason why I wrote that poem is like the last stanza of that poem when I talk about when I was 28, a coworker suggested I should cut my hair. that actually happened. And that interaction, it was all in good faith. Like the coworker that said that was a Black woman. And
what?
But I was in recruitment before I got into education. So like in recruitment field, it's all about how things look, not so much how good you are. It's just how do you present? Because like interviewing is a presentation. It's not really, you don't know who you're hiring until they get in the job, and then you figure out these things. But so yeah, she just came from a real old school recruitment. Cut your beard, cut your hair. You got to present this way, blah, blah, blah.
Was he older?
Nah, yeah, a little bit, but she was like in her early 40s, not too much older than me. So like I used to call her my little big sister because she had a lot of recruitment knowledge. I had a lot of life knowledge, and we used to, exchange. And I think I still love her to death. I talk to her all the time. Like, that's my sis. And she didn't mean it no way. Like, she was just trying to assist me. But it got me to thinking about all of the times in my life where my presentation was in question. And just how quick we are to judge people for what we see and not understanding where that even comes from. Like, where that standard of beauty comes from and what the effect of the person, right? Because it's like my whole life it was so weird. My whole life I was called black and ugly, and like the emphasis was on the black because I'm a dark skinned man. So like you go through, children are relentless. Like they are cruel, right? Like we don't learn until later on in our life. So that poem made me tap into all those experiences and personify them. And do it in a way that's, I guess, relatable for other people, because I know as just being a black person, you're going to encounter at least one of the situations that I explained there.
Right.
So I think that's the reason for the poem.
Let me tell you what came to mind as you were reading or as you was reciting. India Irie's song, "I Am Not My Hair." Mm-hmm. Mainly Akon, I think it was Akon who featured on the remix.
Yep.
His whole verse. Mm-hmm. His whole verse, because he went through the stages of his hair and how pretty much I believe he had the same experience where he said something about nappy headed brothers get no ladies,
yep.
And something about success didn't come until he cut it all off, because he had dread, he had locks. Yeah. So it's great that in a sense that we're recognizing that issue was there. Mm-hmm. And that we're able to actually point it out. And especially what I really can't stand, and I mean I understand the lady that you were talking about, I understand her point. I understand that she was just trying to help you present well in their eyes.
Yeah.
It's not that's necessarily, it's not that she's saying that that's how she felt that you should present. Mm-hmm. But she's saying in order for you to get this particular thing, this is what they like, this is what they want. You might want to do this, and it's sad, and it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate that we have to, I guess, present in a way that's not authentic to us. Well, I'm sorry, we don't have to. People feel like we have to present ourselves in ways that are unauthentic to us, as we are. Like, one thing that I've always I'm really big on is the whole natural thing. Mm-hmm. Like with natural hair, and I mean, no, not knocking, because I used to wear, braids and everything. Like, I used to get the extensions in my hair and all that. Not knocking that at all, but I like for us to be able to, especially as ladies, I like for us to be able to understand that we don't have to have all that stuff to be beautiful and to feel beautiful. So, and to hear it from a male perspective is even, that's even bigger, in my opinion, because you don't hear that a lot. You don't, it's mainly when it comes to, appearance and things like that, it's mostly us. Mm-hmm. But to hear it coming from the male perspective, how you guys have to deal with that, especially mainly Black men have to deal with that as well. It's good to, I like how you pretty much, because you can tell that was something, that's not something that you just made up out of the air.
Yeah.
You can tell that you actually felt that.
Yeah.
And so is that pretty much like, and you said it in a nutshell, that that's how most of your work comes, you know, by the things that you've experienced. And so how did you find that that was an outlet for you?
So writing became an outlet, I think, like my first year of college. That's when I actually started like writing for therapy. And I was I was doing my damnness to like just figure out who I was and who I was like becoming. And, you know, just having those conversations with other college students who had totally different backgrounds than me. Like they're on the phone with their parents all the time. I'm out there feeling isolated, in Georgia, far away from home, trying to figure out what is becoming a man, figure out finances and staying in school at the same time. And just like, I had to figure out a lot. And I think writing was my way of instilling wisdom that was already in me, right? Like, and just extracting it. So like seeing it on paper. So it's like I would vent through my writing. I would give myself words of encouragement through my writing. Everything was like, I would talk about things that I blocked out from my childhood in my writing just to remember. So that's when it became therapy. I think when I started performing, I don't think I started, I'm fairly new to performing. I haven't been performing. I've probably been performing about 6 years now. So
okay. I was actually going to ask you that too. So cool.
Yeah, I'm still learning, right? So like when I started performing, I realized I had to write different poems, right? Because like I was writing for me. And then I started learning performance. I started learning storytelling for a stage. What does that look like? What do you need? Do you need, there's certain words that hit when you hear it and don't hit the same, like, you know what I'm saying? Like on paper. So, and there's certain words that hit on paper, but then when you say it, it's like, you could have chosen paper, right? So like just learning that art and that dance. And I think Waves was my first attempt at like figuring that out. And like just seeing, I realized that was the one when I did a show one time and a few guys walked up to me and was like, yo, bro, I needed to hear that. And I was like, this is not for me. This has a life of its own at this point. Like, yeah, it started about me, but now I'm realizing this is so much bigger than me. And that's the beauty of the art. And that's why I love performing, even though I can't stand it sometimes, like it gets a lot, but I love performing just to have that chance to touch at least one person, to let them know like, yo, you're not alone. Like we've gone through this and you can get through this.
Absolutely. And it's a form of teaching.
Yeah.
And it's a form of representation as well, because not everybody learns the same. There are different people who, you know, there are different ways of teaching. And I honestly think that, you know, spoken word is a very different way of, you know, of teaching and helping people to, I guess you can get away with things in spoken word and in poetry that you can't necessarily get away with in a regular setting, in a regular classroom setting, because you can really be who you are. And the thing about that is, regardless of the experiences that we have gone through, somebody else has either been through it already or they're going through it. And that's something that you can, just like the, you know, like the brothers that you said that came up to you and told you, you know, that they needed that. One thing that I'm learning in life, we don't go through things for ourselves. We don't have the experiences that we have for ourselves. And on top of that, our goals and our purpose and the things that, you know, that God gives us is not, the gifts that he gives us is not for us. Nuh-uh, can't say that, because a lot of times it is for us too. Mostly for us first. I'll put it like that. It's for our growth first, but then it's also so that we can teach somebody else or help somebody else.
No,
like
totally.
Like even like, honestly, I'm gonna be 100. This platform here, this is not my thing. I don't like talking to people. So I don't. And the thing, but I say I don't like talking to people. Huh?
You see the value in it and what others can gain from that. And that's important.
Exactly. It's putting yourself to the side for a moment to help somebody else, or to be able to, because one thing I may not like to, you know, I'm bad at like reaching out to people and things like that and meeting people. I'm terrible at that. But I have a desire to do things to help people, who are doing big things, to help push them out there and promote them. I've come across a lot of different people, throughout my life. Like you said that you lived in Georgia for a little while. I lived in Tennessee for 7 years and then came back to New York. So through that time, and when I was down there, that's when I did the most of my growing. And I met people, I was in rooms with people and different things that it honestly showed me like I have a whole network of artists of all different kinds. I know people who dance, I know people who sing. I come from a family of musicians. I write myself, there's so many different people that I've come across. And I just like to the opportunity. I would like to think that, okay, maybe I can be the bridge, that this person has this gift or they might need this, but I know somebody over here that can actually assist with that. Yeah. So I don't know where that came from.
No, it's important because like I feel like that's part of the poetry too, is being that bridge to understanding or reconciliation. And
yes.
Yeah, and like, yeah, I get it. I get it. And I'm here for it. Keep doing what you're doing, Queen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So being that I know that you did one called Magic.
Yeah.
And being that Mother's Day is next week. Oh my goodness.
Yep, next Sunday.
Next Sunday. Would you please grace us with magic?
Magic, sure. So backstory on this poem. I am a struggling artist. So sometimes I'll be wanting to provide and do things for, the beautiful women in my family that I'm just not able to do. So this poem is actually a product of a Mother's Day idea, gift. So I think it was like 2018, 2019, like 2018. Mother's Day was coming up. I was strapped for cash. I was trying to figure out like, yo, what can I do? But I wanted to honor my aunts because like my aunts have been super important in my development and my growth, and just, my mother died when I was 15. So it's like, those have been my extended mothers. And I'm grown now. So it's like, yo, thanks. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? So what I did was, and my partner actually kind of gave me the idea. She was like, yo, write him a poem. I was like, that's corny. She's like, yeah, but you could do it in a not corny way. So she helped me out. Like I wrote the poem and we went and like got the poems printed out from Staples, and then got like some dope frames and framed them. So like 3 different poems, framed them, and I gave it out to them for Mother's Day. So like that's how that poem came about. So yeah, I'll get into it.
Let's go.
The women in my family are magic. You see, I have witnessed them transform tragedy into triumph, cradling self-esteem and rocking pain to sleep with lullabies that soothe the average beast like me. See, I've seen them look dead in the eyes and laugh like only a Black woman could. With enough cocoa butter and shade to even out all of my dark places. With enough snaps, neck rolls, and hand claps to let you know when they ain't playing. Enough fortitude to last generations, because as we all know, Black, it just don't crack like that. Because see, when my mother died, these women literally put the men on their back and carried us to understanding. When my uncle died, they were the only ones to not cry. The only ones to allow for us men to be both vulnerable and safe. You see, this is what God must feel like. They say that the burden of strength, it always lies with the wise. Well, these women birth boulders and can move mountains with their mouths. I remember overhearing conversations in the kitchen, and if you know anything, you know, ain't nothing more magical than 4 Black women in one kitchen. See, I watched them conjuring feasts fit for kings. Recipes passed on from elders I have never seen, but always knew they love me still to this day, just by the way my food tasted. I watched them there, gracefully stirring pots, measuring by hand just the right amount that's good for your soul. See, they were good for your soul like church, because the kitchen, it was praise and worship. The kitchen was knees a pew, an invitation to forgiveness. And these women are extensions of God. These women are fried chicken, collards, and turkey neck bones, baked mac and cheese, gizzards, and gluten-filled bread, because gluten-free just don't taste the same. These women are seasoning, picked from the earth and packaged in tough love, raw, salty, and sweet. These women have survived fires and lived to tell of smoke, of rubble, of ash that blows in the wind like strange fruit on Mississippi trees. They have seen their fathers die by the hands of whites and still manage to smile. They have seen their mothers go from matriarchs to forgotten by the history books and still encouraged us to read. Read until we can write. Write until it is right. Until monuments are erected in their honor, and even if they aren't, at least all of y'all will know that this little black boy came from a loving family. So it amazes me. Now, hearing the rumblings of an empty stomach was the only motivation they needed. How they withdrew pain from wounds I never knew I had. How they had love etched on the insides of their arms so that every hug had the power of healing. How they knew honey and ginger and apple cider vinegar worked better than anything a doctor could ever prescribe. I have no idea.
What you say?
Women in my family are magic, I swear. And I just want them to know that that monument they've been waiting for has always been right here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, how many tears did you get from that?
Like in performing?
Yeah, when you presented it to them, I'll put it like that.
So I have a very stoic family. Like, they from the South, you know what I mean? They're just learning how to express emotionally. I mean, we're trying to rectify all that generational trauma, but they loved it. But the most special thing is, I think the year after, I had a show downtown in Queens, actually. And my cousin came. She's like the closest cousin to me. She's like 9 years older than me. And my sister was there. And my sister lives in Georgia. So it's like she's rarely in New York. So she was there for that. So in my set, they came to the show. It was a crowded show. This is like when I first started performing and like going hard and like selling out shows. That's an accomplishment for me, because it's like nobody likes me like that. So to come to a show, like, oh my God, I love you. Thank you so much. So it was a crowded show, huge venue, and I'm performing and I'm doing magic. And when I perform, I like to look into the crowd just to like gauge. And I'm getting a little emotional because it's like in my mind, I'm like, damn, my sister is here. My cousin is here. My aunts couldn't make it for that show, but they came to another show and they saw that poem performed live. But it was just that one performance where I'm in the middle of the poem and I looked at my cousin Kiosha and I was like, Kia, are you crying? And I'm still on stage.
You said this on the stage?
Yeah, I'm still, because it was like, whoa, like it hit me. And I was like, Kia, are you crying? And I started crying because I'm like, I'm seeing her cry. Then I'm crying. I'm like, I love you. And I go back into the poem.
That's what's up.
It was a dope moment. Like, so like it's just those little moments are like imprinted in my brain that I'm like, all right, stay on task, keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully it'll work out.
And that makes all of the difference. I know it does. That makes all the difference when you have those little, especially like you said, those little reminders. And they always come to see them at the right time.
Right when you needed them. Right when you needed them. You know what I mean? I think this conversation alone made me think about that moment, because I'm having doubts right now. But like even recalling that is reinforcing to me. So thank you, Rain. I appreciate it.
You better not quit nothing, sir. You better not. I'm saying it. You better not. Real talk. So do you have some upcoming events happening and some other stuff that's going on? Tell us a little bit about what's happening next for you.
Okay. So tomorrow, today's Saturday. So tomorrow is so I'm in a competition for Mr. or Mrs. Harlem Shake. Now, Harlem Shake is a burger spot in Harlem. It's located on 124th and Lenox Avenue. They're having a yearly competition where they pick either Mr. or Mrs. Harlem Shake. If I win, I get to donate to a nonprofit of my liking. Definitely definitely donating to the nonprofit that I work for, Brotherhood Sister Soul. We do a lot of great work with the youth. So yeah, I'm looking forward. Hopefully, we're having an event tomorrow at Harlem Shake from 3 to 6 p.m. It's more of a meet and greet for the 10 finalists. I'm gonna be there trying to get votes from everybody. So that's what I'm working on for the month of May. And hopefully that's like the Kickstarter, because I have my first performance at the Apollo in July. I'm super excited, super nervous. I'm actually performing.
So I feel you. I said the Apollo can be brutal, so I feel you about that. But you'll be fine.
Yeah, and I'm low key looking forward to that, because that's a growth area, right? Like, so like certain things you have to go through it. Like I wouldn't consider myself a good performer until I got booed, and I've been booed, and
so that has happened before.
Yeah, and I've been booed for valid reasons. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm up there forgetting my whole poem and like y'all paid to be here, like I would boo me too. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think the type of character that I have, and it sucks to say, sometimes I do need to, fall on my butt and to like dust myself off. I'm like, yo, because I know once I got booed, I went home and practiced all night, and then hit 3 different open mics within that week just to do the same poem till it was muscle memory. You know what I mean? So it's like, you need to go through that. It's not about your character when you win, it's your character when you fail.
That's it.
And I think I was instilled. My mother taught me right. That's I just leave it at that. And I'm looking forward to that experience. I hope that doesn't happen, but if it doesn't happen, that's just more motivation for me. I think I'm more nervous about, the support kind of thing. Like I'm an artist, so it's like I'm more nervous about like, yo, is anybody gonna come out for me kind of thing? Because it's easier for me. It's easier to perform in front of strangers. Like I don't owe you anything, right? It means more to perform in front of, people who I love,
who you know, right?
And and that means more. That's more. I value that a little higher. So like that's what I'm anxious and nervous about. Not necessarily the performance. I'm doing magic. Like you can't hate that poem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
for real.
It's like, and if you do, then something's wrong with you. Like, all right, cool. But yeah, I think that's what's on my mind. So yeah.
Okay. What else? I know that you have in addition to If Ever We Were, there's another piece of work that's coming out.
Yes, I'm working on my second poetry collection. It's entitled Where There's Smoke. And this is, so If Ever We Were is the journey of a young Black adolescent and the wisdom that you pick up along the way. And which is why I put it in 4 different sections. Like If Ever We Were, I think the first section is Lost. If Ever We Were Lost. If Ever We Were Loved and Left. If Ever We Were. Right? And at the end, it was like If Ever We Were Whole. And which is why a lot of the end portion talks about, Black pride, talks about being fortified within who you are and not having that doubt. So that's the journey into adulthood. Now, Where There's Smoke is more of a me taking a deep look into who I am as a man and why. And so like that means the positives and the negatives. That means my father's relationship, my father's relationship, the relationships around me and how they shape me, the relationship with my partner and her father's relationship, right? Like all of these things. And the whole theme of it is where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm pointing at the fire through the palms, but the smoke is all of the residuals, right? So not like she actually gave me my partner gave me the idea to do like, because I've been working on it for quite some time, and she was like, "Why don't you do a family tree as like the intro?" And I was like, "What do you mean?"
Ooh.
Yeah, and I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "Yo, like a lot of this is centered around, you know, your father or what you don't know about your father and how he didn't show up for you and how the fathers in your family haven't showed up. I have a similar story over here, and I'm sure there's, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we're all linked through this fire." It's like now I could tell, I don't have to just tell my story. Now I could tell her story. Now I could tell her mother's story. Now I could tell her grandmother's story because like we are all linked through this fire. And I think the crux of it is recorrecting these generational traumas so that we can do better. Right. And so me as a new father, as someone who didn't have my father in my life like that. And even before he passed, and even when he was here, he chose not to be in my life. So me taking a real honest look at that man and not faulting him for understanding like he didn't have that. He probably didn't know how to do that. But still acknowledging the effects that had on me. Right. Like, so just being bipartisan about it and being honest, but not bitter. And just being truthful, right? So it's like that's the whole goal of that book. So yeah, I'm looking forward to completing it. I'm not even putting myself on a deadline. I'm be honest with you because that's one of the things that I want to take my time with. I have a host of poems about my son that I want to make perfect because he's perfect, and I don't think anything I write can even encapsulate that. So I'm gonna be writing and rewriting for a while. So yeah.
So in other words, we're gonna have to pretty much keep up with you in order to know when it's coming out.
Yeah.
Which those who are watching, y'all have to make sure that y'all keep up with Hattress because he's not only is he doing really, really big things. I mean, you already heard his bio, you heard what he's up to. And if y'all are able to, you know, to make the Harlem Shake event tomorrow, what time is that? And what's the address again?
It is on 124th and Lenox, and the time is from 3 to 6 p.m. I'm going to sneak in some poems here and there during that time. They don't know that, but you know, I'm a poet, so you can't tell me no. Yeah, it's just a meet and greet. I'm gonna be there with my family. I'm gonna be there with the homies, with some friends. So they come through, get a burger, get a shake, get some fries, enjoy the live jazz.
Nice. Ooh, and it's jazz too? Okay.
We do live jazz on Sundays.
So for those who may not be able to make it, is there a way to do it virtually or online?
So the voting process goes like this. You can vote in the store or you can vote as an online order, but you just have to vote with a purchase. I'm telling people just go in there and get a beverage or go in there and get some fries. And then you can vote. You can vote twice a day. And it's for the entire month of May.
Ah, okay. I love May. My birthday's in May, so yes. 40. That's on the 20th. 40.
Okay. Is that still Taurus or is that
right at the cusp?
Right
at the cusp. Right. Yeah. So y'all are gonna please make sure to go ahead and get your votes in. If you're not gonna be able to make it, go on the Harlem Shake website, order some food or order something or figure out a way. Order it for some. If you're not here and you want to order something, order it for somebody else.
Yeah.
Order for somebody else.
Just also, you can go on the Apollo website. I will be there July 6th.
Yes.
6th of July. That's a Wednesday. It's for amateur night. Get your tickets, pull up. It's going to be a great show.
I was looking forward to that. I'm looking for, and I've always wanted to go to the Apollo for no other reason, but just to see all the talent that's there. So it's on a Wednesday. If it's on a short Wednesday, maybe I might be able to swing.
It's on a Wednesday. And I've never been to amateur night at the Apollo, like as an audience. I've only been to the Apollo one time and I live 15 blocks away from it. It's kind of weird.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You have all the stuff that's right around you that people come to, you know, from states and internationally. They come in and they right here, and we just take advantage of it.
Yeah.
It's common.
So that's why I'm making it. I'm being intentful of trying to really tap into my community, and you know, like I'm not trying to go all the way downtown when it's like I live here and there's so many resources here and there's so many people that I could affect here and tap and like, you know, help and like touch here. So it's like, why not believe in that?
Absolutely. So Hattress, we are pretty much done, and I thank you again for coming on and chatting with us a little something. People, his Cash App is right here. It's $Hattress, and if you want to go take a look and purchase his books, if ever we were, you can do so on the website, which is www.iamhattress.com. And before we leave, I have to ask you to just share a little bit of a word of encouragement, I guess, for anybody who, you know, may be trying to do something similar to you, though, just off of some wisdom.
Okay. I feel like I'm talking to myself too, because it's like that's what I will say. Believing in yourself isn't a day thing. It isn't like you wake up one day and you believe in yourself. No. It is a practice. It is reintroducing yourself to yourself and saying, hey, I can do this, even in the darkest moments. So like being discouraged is going to happen. You are human, but don't live in that. Keep going, keep working. And you can't put the work off. You're going to just have to work, and that's just what it is. But have faith that, you know, you're fortified and you're strong enough to do this and you can do this. And also allow people to help you. And I think that's the number one that I'm still struggling with that, right? Allow people to help you. There's going to be people that come into your life that are genuinely interested in your success. Don't push them away because of your own imposter syndrome. Like, you can do this. You can do whatever you want to do. And that's what I would leave people with, because like, I know for me, that's what I'm still battling. And I know the truth, but the practice looks a little different. So I'm still working on the practice.
That's good. Knowing the truth, but actually putting it into practice. Amazing. So I don't want to say nothing else after that. Thank you again. Everybody, hopefully stay tuned. Hopefully we can get this outro here that my daughter worked so hard on. Yes, until next time.
Shout out to Liberty.
Yes. So guys, try to stay on, and if not, then we'll just end it. But thank you again for tuning into another episode of Speaking Plain English. Make sure that y'all do the liking and the sharing and tagging and all that stuff. Alrighty? Until next time, peace.
Peace.